Understanding the country's housing shortage. The housing shortage is probably not news to anyone who's looked to buy a new home recently. According to the National Association of Realtors, NAR, the supply of homes for sale in the U.S., typically measured in months of supply, reached a record low of just 1.6 months in January 2022. That number has grown since, but only slightly, and the supply is still not nearly enough to meet the demand. While insufficient inventory may be obvious to house hunters, it's a complex problem with no obvious solution. Here's what to know about the U.S. housing shortage, what factors have caused it and how it impacts the overall real estate market. Why is there a housing shortage? Rising materials costs, supply chain issues and labor shortages stemming from COVID have all negatively impacted housing inventory. But the problem existed long before the pandemic. Essentially, the U.S. has failed to keep up with the housing demands of a continually increasing population. One factor that exacerbates the shortage is the prevalence of institutional investors, who buy up a large portion of housing inventory for profit. These investors accounted for more than 13% of all residential real estate purchases in 2021, according to a 2022 NAR study, removing those units from the pool of availability for individual buyers. What is a normal amount of inventory? Traditional wisdom states that the real estate market needs 5 to 6 months of housing supply to be balanced, or not leaning toward either a buyer's market or seller's market. NAR home sales data shows housing supply remaining flat at 2.6 months' worth in both February and March 2023, which is healthier than January's record low of 1.6 months but still well below balance. Complicating the problem further is the tendency of particularly popular markets to draw in new residents faster than they can create new housing to accommodate them. NAR's housing shortage tracker illustrates the number of new housing permits issued versus the number of new jobs created in more than 150 metro areas. How a housing shortage affects buyers and sellers. Both buyers and sellers feel the impact of insufficient housing inventory. Many would-be sellers are unable to list their homes because they can't afford the price of a new one at the current mortgage rates. As a result, a lot of homeowners who would prefer to downsize, or graduate out of a starter home, or simply move to a new location, are waiting it out. That keeps those homes out of the inventory pool. Buyers are likely to bear the brunt of the problem, though. A lack of housing options creates a very competitive market, in which many buyers must compete for few available properties. This often results in bidding wars and drives up home prices. It can also leave buyers with little power and fewer protections in the transaction, as sellers have their choice of other hopefuls who might be willing to waive contingencies and accept any terms the seller wants. How long will the shortage last? Given the complex nature of the situation, the current housing shortage is likely to persist for some time. While lower interest rates may help, they're unlikely to solve the problem completely. Increases in total housing builds would also help, though high materials costs and labor shortages still persist at this point in the pandemic, which means builders may still be reluctant to start new projects. Bottom line. Several issues have contributed to the country's current housing shortage, including the pandemic, inflation and increased interest rates. Essentially, though, it's a problem of supply and demand. New home construction dropped precipitously after the Great Recession and has yet to fully recover. What are your thoughts in your area's current housing market today? Let me know, message me now.